Welcome back to Have You Heard, the social media podcast by us here at The Social Shepherd, where we tell you everything you need to know about social if you work in digital. My name is Zoe, and today I'm joined by...
Scott, I'm a senior organic exec.
And...
I'm Sam, and I'm an account manager.
Fabulous. Cool. So thank you so much for joining us today, guys. How's your week been?
Good. It's a 4-day week. Bank holiday.
Yeah.
It's great.
I hate bank holidays. Unpopular opinion. I hate them with every bone in my body because everyone just squishes all their work into 4 days and it's a little bit chaotic.
Yeah.
The vibes on a bank holiday week are a bit...
Unpredictable.
Yeah, you don't know what you're
I
going to
think that's the right word. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. But we'll get straight stuck into our industry updates and we can have a natter afterwards. So TikTok Studio have updated their Creator Center platform. You've been having a play around on this.
I have.
What's your thought and feelings on it?
I'm enjoying so far. It seems like it's very condensed, so you can do everything in one place, which I think most platforms have struggled with historically. They like to make you go on a bit of a goose chase to get everything. But it looks like you can post, schedule, do your analytics, and like there's more search functions, so you can edit your post by like how many comments they've got. So if you only want to see posts that have got over 100 comments, for example, that's not something you've been able to do before. So far, seems good. I'm hoping they don't change it too much because my understanding is a bit of a testing period. So far, pretty good. I'm liking it.
So can you schedule on it?
I think so.
Ooh, that's a
Looks
bit of
like
a
it.
game changer, isn't it? I wonder how...
And so we can upload videos up to 30 minutes is what I've seen so far.
Nice.
So if anybody wants to put a documentary up, I suppose.
Yes. No, that's exciting. I wonder how our scheduling platforms will react to that because traditionally you have to post on TikTok via post notifications, which it would probably make more sense now to just schedule in platform.
Yeah. So we'll see if they take it away. They might
We'll
tweak
see.
it.
We'll see if there's a little API release in there to
we'll
enable us to do it through those platforms. So just kind of going into detail about exactly what they've done here. So this is a statement from TikTok. Whether you're a seasoned creator, a newbie debuting your first video, or a small business balancing TikTok content creation while managing a business, TikTok Studio provides free, easy-to-use creation tools and centralized operational capabilities designed to efficiently streamline content workflow. Using their TikTok account to log in or sign up, creators can upload, film, edit, and post to TikTok directly from TikTok Studio and use tools like Auto Caption, Photo Editor, and Auto Cut to polish their content with a professional finesse. So it's just professionalizing the platform, I guess, a little bit. And it's quite interesting, isn't it? Because internally, you know, we're talking actually about the post-production side of TikToks. We actually do a lot of our editing within Premiere Pro. But it does make me wonder if now we'll start to use more of our in-app stuff. Because I do, you know, there are certain things and they do say if you edit in-app, you can get some algorithmic benefits from that, although we've tested it and we haven't actually seen any sort of difference.
TBC.
Yeah, TBC. But now that they have this, and you can also use it on desktop as well. So that does indicate that we might see a shift in how we operate and how brands operate managing TikTok accounts. What I'd love to see from TikTok, and I'm speaking to them at it, I keep pestering them, is better reporting functionality from them and to be able to understand the impact of search on the platform because they're pushing it forward as a search platform, but we can't really see search volumes properly.
Yeah.
Well, they did release that really new tool recently, and I've been using the content gap feature on it.
Yeah, I liked forgive me, I've forgotten the name, where you could go into a search and then click your rankings. But from my knowledge, on a few of my accounts, that function's been taken away because it was a test. And I was like, that was the useful one.
I know.
It wasn't that proficient in telling you what you were ranking for necessarily, but it was like the only visual way so far to be like, okay, right, this video is higher. Can we narrow it down after that?
Well, and they also took away, obviously you can get the trend insights on the platform, but it's only on what they tell you. So you can't search for a specific hashtag or search for anything and actually get the volumes. Whereas we used to be able to, and we used to match the Google search trends to the TikTok search trends. And it was a pain in the arse because we had to download all of the data manually and then put it in. There was a whole thing. But maybe they're taking it away because they're going to make it easier for us.
Maybe.
Thank you,
You'd like to
TikTok.
think so.
That would be lovely.
It's a message
Yeah, if
directly
you're
to
watching
TikTok. Please make it easier.
True, please make it better.
They have got all their guides and stuff now, though, so it's easier to access. I feel like the website before, say if you're new to TikTok, was very difficult sometimes to find like the easy steps, but they've got all the guides linked on the side. So like there's demos, for example, like how to post properly, how to do community management efficiently.
They're definitely doing more. And when I went and spoke to them the other week, they were basically saying like how they are a younger social platform than the likes of Meta, and even they actually liken themselves to Google quite a lot, which makes sense from a search perspective. But you can see, you know, with the Meta Blueprint-esque certifications that they're now bringing out, with all of the guides that they now are bringing out, they're kind of taking the best of both of those major platforms and kind of saying, what do we need to give for professionals to be able to utilize this in the best possible way? Because the more they professionalize the platform, the more agencies like us and brands are going to feel comfortable investing in it, because they're going to be able to get more insight out of it. So definitely doing something. If they could just hurry up, that would be great. TikTok Summer of Sports Guide. I don't know a lot about this.
There's a lot going on.
Yeah, it's been a busy week. Score big in the summer of sports with TikTok, a guide for SMEs. Okay. So obviously we've got, I think we can say it on this podcast, but brands can't. Obviously the Olympics are happening, the Euros are happening. Wimbledon. Yeah. We've actually got a lot of sporting campaigns going on at the minute. Sam is in the midst of one right now.
Know all about it.
Yeah, can I find a football ground within 2 days?
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, there's a lot going on, and I think this is actually really helpful for TikTok to release this, because we've seen and heard of terror stories of brands putting hashtag Olympics or putting hashtag Wimbledon. And even something as small as that, like even if you don't mention it in the content, you don't mention it in the proper caption, if you'd mention anything to do with those types of events that have that level of protection on them, you'll just get sued, basically.
Immediately.
And the Olympics is really, really tight on it. Really, really tight. So it's helpful that they have done this. So what they said is, with nearly 9 in 10 users, 85%, they intend to watch at least some of the 2024 Summer Games. The Summer of Sports is a chance to tap into an audience actively seeking game-related content. One thing we actually saw with this as well is obviously Challengers came out with Zendaya, and that had a really big TikTok moment. And that's like Tennis Core kind of came out because of that. And we'll probably see like that lull, and we have seen that lulled a little bit. It's just going to kick right back up again with Wimbledon. So there's already a lot of sport related content happening on the platform at the minute. I'm really enjoying the, it's like people like play tennis and then the ball goes past and it's like, and then it like flips to something else.
Oh, like the jump scare.
Can we put like a thing in here for anyone watching it?
They're like the baseball pitch one.
Yeah. Stuff like that's really, really fun. But yeah, they are right that it makes sense to do it. So they said industry specific thought starters. There are 5 top brands, like type of brands that users want to see creating Summer Games content. Food and beverage, entertainment, tech, gaming, and travel. That's not a shocker. And they're also saying travel talk, food talk, tech talk, fashion talk. So they've basically just given a whole load of hashtags that you could utilize and some content ideas. What else are they saying? Oh, shock. They're telling you that you should scale up your budget.
Classic.
Yeah, I mean, it's nothing that's kind of groundbreaking what they're saying here. You know, they're talking about remarketing, customer lookalike audiences. Basically, there's a lot of going on in sport. Utilize it to your benefit if you are a brand and it is relevant to you.
It's just tapping into that big
It's a cultural moment.
Yeah, that's it.
It's not that deep.
No, it's nothing revolutionary. It's
exactly. But it could be revolutionary if you did it in the right way.
Exactly.
And don't get sued.
Yeah.
And please don't get sued. Cool. So then we've also got Instagram's testing early access to features. I haven't read about this yet, and the statement is a little bit confusing because we actually get access ourselves to quite a lot of early features because of our partnership with them. So there's a button that you can click.
Sign up for it.
You can sign up for early access to features.
I've looked. Not all accounts have got the button yet.
Oh, you haven't got the button?
No.
I think that's a bit interesting. So I guess that probably is more so from a consumer perspective, because if you are a brand or an agency and you have a partner, you're going to get access to those features anyway for the most part. So it's kind of more so for the creator and consumer community.
I was going to say, I think it's more creator focused rather than business or agency, because like you said, we get that anyway. So,
well, we'll keep you updated on what actually happens on that.
Wish they told us what the new features were.
Yeah.
Just sign up for them.
Just
Yeah.
I don't
sign
know what they
up.
are, but just if we could take your details, that'd be amazing.
This one's really interesting. So memes. So TikTok, sorry, Instagram are testing a new feature for Instagram Reels where you can insert bits of memes within content. Kind of not dissimilar, but it kind of does take attention away from the likes of CapCut and stuff like that. Kind of makes sense. CapCut is within the same family of brands as TikTok, so it would make sense why Instagram want to do that. I mean, great, love it, fabulous.
Yeah.
We love a meme.
Yeah. Be interesting to see, I think, if you create something, if it's the same meme on CapCut versus making it in Instagram.
Let's do
to
an
see
A/B
which one,
test.
If it's
Right,
scrutinized.
Scott. It's at end of day today. A/B test out the door.
If I manage any of your clients, you know why I'm posting that now. So. But no, I think it'd be interesting to see if it's like penalized with CapCut, because obviously CapCut forces you straight to TikTok. We know you can download it without the watermark when you're in TikTok. But I think it'd be interesting to see if you do create in Instagram, like you said, you do get like algorithmic favor. We'll see.
Well, it's an interesting one because they also brought out that update more recently about duplicate content, and that if your content was a duplicate, it would be penalized within the algorithm. Now, they did then go on to preface that saying that it is mainly going to be for people that are doing it consistently, and where it is like really complete copycats. So if they see that you're doing that over and over again, then that's really when the penalization is going to hit in, which isn't surprising. But with this update with memes, then surely you're gonna see more of that. So yeah, we haven't really seen the update of that algorithmic update in terms of how it is penalizing content at this point in time. But I love a meme. I think they're great.
It's reactive. As obviously CapCut, you get to make edits. Like as a audience base, we make edits that brands then use. For example, if Instagram can keep up their reactivity with, say, like making a trending meme available to use. So I feel like CapCut's hot,
so like
it's
quick,
quick. Whereas Instagram's always like a bit, normally like 2 weeks behind. So like, will they have an option where people can create their own memes and upload them?
I wonder how they have done it, because surely the way that it would make most sense would be to tap into like meme.com or something like that, where they've got, or like Giphy, for example, where they've got a bank of all of the memes and they're just partnering with them to pull it through. Because if they're not and they're doing it manually, whoever's job that was very fun. But it would make more sense for them to work in partner. They probably are. That would be silly if not.
Oh, it'd be a lot of work.
But yeah, so funsies.
Yeah.
Love it.
Love that.
And then YouTube, final update actually from us before we get into some fun topics, is YouTube rolls out in-app games. So after testing it out with selected users over the past 8 months, YouTube has now launched its new Playables in-app games, offering it to more users in the US, UK, Canada, and Australia, with over 75 basic mobile games now available within the app. Do you know what it's giving? When you go on the airplane and it's a long haul flight and you get games.
Got the selection. We said it reminds us. Do you remember Mini Clip?
Yeah.
Where people used to log on and play like Penguin.
Bubble Trouble. Did anyone play Bubble Trouble?
Yeah.
But that's what the interface looks like.
It does.
Like,
I kind of love it though. I think we need to get back on the game hype.
It's nostalgic.
Yeah.
I looked earlier and how much Mini Clip is still worth, and it's literally billions. They've made so much. They get, if you get one game that's available only on the app that trends, you make so much.
Fair. Yeah, no, I like this idea. I think it's nice. And I think an opportunity as well, the more that we can get, I know that gaming is such a huge community, but the more that we can get it pulled even further into the mainstream, I think there could be a really good opportunity for brands to team up with some of these games if they went viral and stuff. Release their own, but also like there's a really cool campaign that was done in America in Roblox.
They had one of those, a feature.
Home Bargains,
Yeah, their little character was available to, you can make and download an avatar, I suppose.
But like stuff like that, where you're kind of like putting your product in front of an audience that you think's interested, but not making it so sales-like. I think it's just, I think it's really smart. So I really like this. I'm going to see what games I have, actually. Should we all have a look?
Have you got any games on your phone?
Yeah. Yeah, that's literally what it is. With YouTube's
you reckon it'll be like really old ones, like was like Fruit Ninja and Temple Run? Like,
I do still have Temple Run.
you,
Yeah.
that's like Flappy Bird. Surely you can sell that phone on for money now.
How do you do it? If you're
Maybe we don't have it available.
I mean, I've only got about 10 apps on my phone, so it's not difficult.
I actually don't use the YouTube app. Controversial yet, bro.
I don't have it. I'm not part of the experiment. If you're part of the experiment, go to your YouTube app, and if you see a playables menu in the explore section, you're part of the experiment. You're one of the chosen ones.
Send us a screenshot.
Yeah.
I'd like to know.
I actually probably just need to update the app. But yeah, I think it's a really nice update. I think we'll start to see more of that as well
I
coming
think
through
so,
on
yeah.
platforms. Seeing a lot actually, and we're getting a lot of people come through about more like Japanese focused game culture, if that makes sense, and like comic culture, which naturally kind of lends itself to gamification quite easy. Like a lot of like manga is coming through and things like that. And we're getting a lot of brands that are kind of hopping on that storytelling and like gamification piece at the minute. So it's interesting. And I think the pointer on nostalgia makes a lot of sense because we know that Gen Z are really tying into this like nostalgic feel, like the use of the more Polaroid cameras and stuff like that. And it's just going very cyclical as it always does.
Yes.
But I think it's a really nice feature for YouTube.
Makes me feel old.
Makes you feel old.
I'm not even. I'm the youngest one here in this room.
You're
It makes
young.
me feel young. It makes me feel
You're
old.
spring
When people are like, do you remember
chicken.
this? I was like,
Spring
yeah,
chicken,
when I was
yeah.
15. But to be fair, do you remember when Facebook had games? Farmville.
That's a throwback.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll bring that back. Send you a sheep. Very on brand, I suppose.
Oh dear. Okay, so those are our industry updates for the week. A bit of a quieter week, but lots of fun stuff going on in the world of social. Okay, so one of the things that we wanted to talk about, which is quite timely given everything going on, and I want to preface that we will not be expressing our personal opinions here. We are purely talking from a professional stance.
Neutral
Good idea.
parties.
So we're going to talk about the political parties and the election going on in both the UK and the US, because there's been, particularly in the UK, it's quite a bit of stir as to how the political parties are utilizing TikTok in particular. But I think if we back it up for a second, so we know that there is an election going on in the UK
Yep.
and one going on in the US, and they both have very different impacts on those countries and what happens when those go on. So if we start with the UK spend. So, UK.
Spoilers, it's a lot.
Yeah, it is a lot of money. UK budget for political parties. So in the UK, each party can spend 54,010 pence for each consistency
Very
that they
specific.
contest. A party that chooses to contest all 632 seats in Great Britain at the next election will therefore be able to spend just over 34 million. So that's across sort of a tight period of time that they'll be using, 2 months realistically, 2 to
So like 17
Yeah,
mil a
6
month.
to 8 weeks.
Split
so
between
it's-
yeah. So there's a lot of spend across that time period. And if we compare that to the likes of some of our other clients, you're probably matching the digital spend for a global brand on social, to be entirely honest.
I would, yeah, it's not far off.
For on an annual basis
Yeah.
in some
Yeah.
instances. Now, we've got to bear in mind that spend is going to be across all different marketing areas. So that's going
Yes.
to go across print, so your door drops, all your out-of-home advertising.
Yeah.
All of that has to happen within
I mean,
that
I'm sure if you
spend.
went to some of the platforms, they would accept your money.
Oh, they would 100% accept it. So that's interesting from a UK perspective. And I'm actually just going to look at cost of the last UK election for marketing, because that's quite an interesting thing. 'Cause
Can we
know-
hazard a guess before you?
Oh, yeah. Go for it. Hang on. Let me find it first.
I'm assuming it'd be less. I imagine like the budget goes in line with inflation. So if it's
Makes sense,
34 mil
34
for
this
everyone,
year.
I'm going to go with like 28 mil.
That was going to be my
Well, my
guess.
laptop's just died, so I can't actually tell you.
Perfect.
But we will find out, and we will add it in this. But yeah, obviously it's a lot of spend. And then when we compare that to the US, I read earlier that for the last US election, the total spend was 14 billion. which is a lot of
A
money.
lot of money.
Now there are kind of key differences within the UK and the US, and I think, you know, whilst the US may spend significantly more on media, it is an inflated region in comparison to the UK. Like even on a day-to-day spend, you would have to spend significantly more in the US to match the same results that you would see in European sort of territories. So that's not surprising. Everything is just larger in America. But yeah, the US election does have more of an impact on CPMs across the platforms, even for brands that aren't really have any connection or affiliation to political things. So that is one thing that you will see. US businesses need to plan their media spend more to get effective results when an election is happening because of that increased spend going through the platform.
Their election's longer as well. They're like running
there's more of
times
a
lot
run-up,
longer, isn't it? Than we've only got 6
do
weeks.
wonder what if you compare CPMs during an election period to those of Black Friday, what the difference would be.
Election periods are,
Would
from
you
my
say?
knowledge, but
Wow.
they would the
That's,
skyrocket.
yeah, that's big.
Yeah, it is. So yeah, that's spend wise, which is pretty intense. But in the UK, what has really kind of kicked up has been the use of TikTok, which is interesting, given that TikTok, not in the UK, in the US, is under a little bit of fire for sort of politicalness on the platforms and things like that.
Yeah.
But you know, if the people want to be political, the people want to be political. But the main thing is Labour Party, and they have launched their TikTok channel. They've been posting for 6 days now.
And they've been posting a lot.
They've been posting.
They've been busy.
But the interesting thing that you pointed out is that there's the main channels.
It's like an official. It seems like every party has their main official core account, which is a little more, I'd say, safe. It's maybe more. It's not as social first, I'd say. And then there's other accounts where each consistency seems to be able to have their own account. In the bio, it says the name
of the party member that
and
is
the
running
location.
it. Yeah.
And they're the ones that we seem to be posting more.
Yeah.
We've seen a lot more kind of CapCut style edits.
Yeah. Memes.
But they're also the ones that are going viral.
Yes.
So
I mean, we were talking about this earlier, but what's the approval process for that? So does that party member have to get their TikToks approved by Labour? I think that's quite an interesting.
I wonder if they're given like a list of topics of like you need to cover like this many.
What's Cilla Black?
It's very specific.
Yeah, but that is it's about a conservative policy.
Yeah,
isn't it?
yeah, true. I guess that's an interesting thing for us to talk about is like, how do we feel about it? And like, regardless of, you know, our political views or whatever we want on that, how do we feel about how they're using and the tone in which they're using TikTok? Because TikTok does have a younger demographic on it.
Yeah.
So, you know, if we see parties putting more energy into TikTok than maybe other ones, then we know that that's where their attention is on from a demographic perspective. But it's getting a little bit catty out there. The girls are fighting.
Yeah, mixed feelings.
Yeah.
Like I've said to you before, I think it's nice that it's like it's a platform for young people.
Yeah.
So like voting and kind of the political sphere is more attainable to them to understand. It's in front of them. But
is it, if we're saying it's easier for them to understand, is there a natural bias happening? If that, but maybe then the onus on that is on the user, because if you're spending all of your social media time on TikTok and there's other parties that are more vocal on those platforms, then is it down to you then to go, do you know what? Actually, I'm only really seeing content from this party, so then my own opinions are going to be skewed.
Yeah,
I'm not sure. I mean, I'm making a judgment here. I'm not sure many young impressionable people are basing their viewing habits on that. It's purely the type of content that's going out. You know, like I see a piece of content, I like that, and then it appears again, and I like that one. But I wouldn't say. I personally, if I was in that position, I probably wouldn't go out and search for.
So do we think that
compare?
So obviously, I think regardless of your political views, as from a marketing perspective, and like they're using memes and stuff, so it's quite entertaining what they're doing, regardless of what your view is. So do we think that young people, like Gen Zs, have the thought train to be able to distinguish between this is funny from this is the party that actually shares the beliefs
Yeah.
that I want to do. Can they
Yeah.
distinguish?
As a self-identified Gen Z, I have concerns that I think a lot of people sometimes they present information they've heard on TikTok as if they've read an article, for
It's a
example.
fact.
I've read an article, you haven't, you've watched a TikTok.
Mhm.
And if what we're seeing, because I'm seeing both accounts, they're not actually really spending that much time creating posts about their own policies, their own beliefs.
They're
It's constantly
talking
just
about-
bashing.
Yeah, talking
it's
about
just,
each other.
you're doing that, you're doing that. I'm not sure if from TikTok you could actually learn any of the policies that either of the parties want to put in place from them. You're hearing the negative side of it from somebody else, and that's like vice versa. Labour are just, let's slate
I
Conservative.
mean, it is a bit
Conservatives just
scary
slate-
to think.
It's
that-
given us like
informative.
another level of media bias.
Yeah.
in,
Yeah.
in a
Yeah,
way. Yeah, it is, and you're right. Actually, they are really talking about the good that they
No.
think
No.
that they're doing.
Yeah.
Again, regardless of views, but they are bashing
Yeah.
each other
Mhm.
on there.
and like rallying, I don't know, almost
I don't know if
negative
it really sets a
energy.
very good example for young people that like, if you have an opponent,
No,
or if someone has a different view to you, that you
Mhm.
should just bash them.
yeah.
Like I actually do think that is something that I've noticed is
It's not winning by being the best.
no,
it's
No.
winning
it's not.
by
It's just
No.
making
it's
sure
being
they're not
catty.
Yeah.
the best.
And I don't
yeah.
think, regardless of the political side of it, I
Mhm.
don't think it sets a
Mhm.
very good precedent for how you should communicate.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, yeah, because we're not taught politics in school.
No,
And
unless you
I'd
study
be-
politics.
Yeah, which is, I felt rare.
Yeah.
yeah, it is.
But
you're right.
it's not teaching people how to say, like, communicate effectively when they want to talk about politics
Yes.
or like a dicier subject.
Yes.
I know, like, we always say, like, we always use TikTok language. There are times when TikTok language may not be
Yeah.
appropriate or like to get you listened to
Yeah.
or to give the right message. And I'd be worried that like TikTok's going to become too slang. Like,
Yeah, it's hard because you mentioned earlier like about Jenny Leck and like all
Jenny
these
Leck.
things like
Yeah.
it was the previous time I did this was the
There was
Cosy
something.
Living.
Cosy living.
Cosy
Lives.
Living, and then there was
Is there a
the
COVID one?
There was.
coronation. There's one over the coronation or something like that.
Oh.
They always do these things.
Yeah, abbreviations.
But I think that is a positive in the sense that it will encourage young people to talk
Yeah.
about it. But my concern is
it
that like
just
what they're
surface level?
There is
consuming
a point at
is
which
a-
it goes too far,
yeah.
I think. Like if someone's voting on a
TikTok.
political party because of the content they've seen on TikTok,
Yeah.
that probably for me is a step
Be
too
interesting.
But
far.
is that the party's
I mean,
issue or
if
is that the
from a marketing
individual?
perspective,
Yeah.
brilliant.
Yeah.
And if it will dive
Fantastic.
into influencers. What if you see a sponsored post of an influencer for Labour, a
Yeah.
sponsored influencer for
Oof.
Conservative?
Collaborative
Like how deep is
posts,
it? They've
yeah.
only been going for 6 days. It could be.
Well,
Might take
I mean,
7
they
days to
do
get
that in the
influencer
US.
approved.
Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
Like Beyonce, Jay-Z,
Yeah,
like they
yeah.
all
Yeah.
get
It's
involved in it.
huge.
So like my
Yeah, it's
trickle.
quite interesting, isn't it? The whole political landscape when it comes to marketing. Like we said, from a marketing perspective,
They're doing a great
what they're
job.
doing, like that's great. Like great trend
Yeah.
identification, like great understanding of the
Mhm.
audience on TikTok, great understanding of the algorithm. But there is another conversation that's more around like the moral
Yes.
side of
Yeah.
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Tricky one.
It's really
Yeah.
hard.
Probably not our place to decide
No.
whether that's right or not. But we got some feelings, and that's
Yeah.
that's that. So yeah. Jerry, so there is another highlight here. So Jerry Horner was Jerry Halliwell's team made a bit of a mistake when posting a birthday post for fellow Spice Girl Mel B. Was it an accident or was it social media genius?
They
So-
left the amend in the caption, didn't
Yeah.
they?
Yes. So what we've got,
My
I'm just
worst
loading
nightmare.
here.
That's my idea.
mean,
of
it
my worst
happens.
nightmare. No, it's my worst nightmare. That would keep me up for weeks.
So this happens quite a lot, to be fair. Like
Yeah.
I've seen other people do this. I think there was a collaboration.
It's more brands, though, isn't it? Then
Yeah, I think it was someone from like Geordie Shore or something. This happens quite often, where they'll leave the top line home like, please post this
Mhm.
on.
Yeah, that's
Scott
it.
Disick did it. It
Yeah.
was Scott Disick did it for one of his. But good point in the essence of it's embarrassing. It's more embarrassing for her because it's her friend. It's
Mhm.
not like a brand partnership.
No.
I'd be
It's
worried
her
if I was her.
brand.
It takes away from like the authenticity. So
Yeah.
it's like she
Yeah,
doesn't
that's
run
it.
her socials. So everyone who's following her now is like, oh, I'm not really
Yeah.
following Jerry. I'm
Yeah.
following Jerry's social
Yeah,
media
exactly.
manager.
Yeah.
I think brands could tap on to stuff like this better than an individual on a personally led post.
Yeah,
Because
I agree.
on a personal perspective, you are right in the sense that that just builds a lack of trust.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But on the Scott Disick thing, that post achieved so many more likes than it would have done had that not happened. I think it depends on the partnership, and I think you need to be very careful about how it's worded and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But for brands, there could be a fun way to do stuff like that.
Humanises the brand. People
Well, yeah,
like
and it's
it,
like,
don't they?
you know, the intern made a mistake, all that kind of stuff,
Yeah.
like kind of breaking the
Yeah.
fourth wall,
Yeah,
third wall,
that's-
fourth.
We'll go for fifth. Why not?
One of the walls.
One of the walls.
One of the walls,
Yeah.
breaking that wall and kind
Yeah.
of talking about what happens. And they're like, we've done a lot of that recently, like where we've been filming summer content in London. It's raining, absolutely pissing it down. And when
It's
we
not very
post it,
summery.
like the captions are like, yeah, it would have been great if it was sunny when we filmed this.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
and it's like kind of like that engages
It's
conversation.
relatable. I think
Yeah.
people, whether it's a
Exactly.
mistake in the caption or something referenced in the content itself, people understand
On
it.
ads, this doesn't really happen so much anymore, but on paid ads,
Mm.
people used to put spelling mistakes in their ad copy because it would increase the engagement on it, which therefore would then
Serve it to more
make the CPM slightly cheaper
Yeah.
on it. Questionable strategy, but stuff like this has been going around for years.
Yeah.
It's not new.
But I think that probably was a genuine mistake and probably made her come across quite badly in a friendship and to
Yeah.
the public.
I'd love to know what the WhatsApp was to apologise for that.
Yeah, that group chat would have been fun.
Yeah.
Victoria screenshots and sends. Anything to say, Jerry? No.
I wonder if they actually even properly speak to each other, but
I
because
imagine
that
not.
doesn't really give much
I imagine
indication on
not.
that. But
No.
I think it's nice on LinkedIn though when that happens. You see all the social managers like rally around the person that's made a mistake.
Yeah.
You'll be like, yeah, great content, because you know that manager sat there like, I've done a terrible mistake. I was like, love the content. It was really good. Love that. Love it. You're doing a great job.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. And then one final topic that I wanted to talk to you guys about was we get a lot of people coming to us to kind of come into marketing fresh, either out of uni. We're actually taking a lot of people on that actually don't go to uni, and that's a topic in itself. But I wanted to ask you guys, as people who have kind of settled into your careers a little bit,
Part of the furniture now.
what would I
We're in
mean?
the
Yeah,
top
you
10.
are.
We're in
You
the
are
top 10
part.
now.
Yeah, we did a 2-year dinner, which was actually more of a 3-year dinner, to be
Yeah.
entirely honest. But it was everyone that had been in the company for a significant period of time. We've actually only had people employed for 4 years, so
It's my
been-
3 years tomorrow.
Oh, congratulations,
It's my 2.5.
Sam. But if someone came to you and said, I want to do what you do,
Mhm.
what would you tell them? Like, what is one piece of advice that you would give them in how to get into the industry?
Ooh. Well, mine was have a friend who's already working there. To be honest, that helped. No, that would.
Scott
but-
did get a referral.
I think mine is more. I don't actually think it's skills necessarily, because skills can be taught.
Yeah, I agree.
I think it's willing.
Yeah.
And my thing when I started is all I wanted to do was learn. It was just after COVID. No one was getting hired because every marketing team was cut across the
Yeah.
UK. And I just wanted to learn more. And I think if you go into a role presenting yourself that I'm here because I need to learn stuff and you're willing to teach me, I think that already builds a relationship with the person who's recruiting. They're like, they want to learn and they want to do better. So realistically, they're a good hire
I
because I'm going
completely
to get
agree.
more out of you because you want what I want you to do.
Yeah.
So like show willing, give it a go. If it's not that great, that's fine. You've given it a go and that's half the battle. Like you've shown willing that you're ready to be amended, critiqued and do better.
Yeah.
Whereas if you come in, I think sometimes someone comes in so polished and you're like, well, I've got this certification. It's like, well, like I can't really offer you much more now. If you're already there and you've done it all on your own, not really sure where that relationship leads the two of us to go any further, if that makes sense.
I agree. I think when we're hiring entry level roles, we always look for a really great attitude, like proactiveness and initiative. And sometimes I think I've seen a few candidates come in and they almost try and like make themselves sound like they know more than they actually do.
Yeah.
And it's actually, that's not the best thing to do. Like, be open and say, "Do you know what? I haven't done that before, but I really love to learn.
Yeah.
You know, and like say those things. And I completely agree. I think at that level, I mean, across the board, we always try and hire for the person, not necessarily for the role.
Because also if you lie and then you get a question, it shows.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
you
it
start
does.
shaking like a leaf because you've lied on your CV and in the interview, and then the interview question at the end asks you about something. it's gonna show.
No, and it will show as well whenever you're working, and ultimately,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
you go into a role wanting to thrive, not
Yeah.
get tripped up in any shape or form. So I would agree with that
Mhm.
sentiment. Like, just
Yeah.
eager, keenness, like
Keen bean.
Yeah,
Give it
be
a
a
go.
keen bean.
Keen bean.
Oh, I don't like that. That's cringe. I'm sad I've said that now.
Sam, what would you
After
say?
you.
I would say having a genuine interest for it, I
Mhm.
think is probably my top piece of advice. Like,
Mhm.
don't just do it because
You think it's cool.
or you think it's
Yeah.
going to be put you in a position where you're on trend and it's something to talk about with your friends or something.
Mhm.
Like, have a genuine interest for it. I think that's probably the most, because there's so many moving parts,
hmm
and it can be overwhelming sometimes. And I think if you're not interested in it, it's very easy
Hard
for
to, like,
someone
motivate yourself on
it's,
it,
it's
like you
very
do.
easy to get demotivated by
I
it.
think to work in an agency environment, you do kind of need to be a self-starter, and you need to
Oh,
be like
absolutely.
able to work at like pace and stuff like that. And there's pros and cons of both working brand side and agency
Mhm.
side whenever it comes to marketing. But yeah, you're right in the sense that if you don't love it, it's just going to become really.
Yeah.
With anything though, if you did
Mm.
anything in your career
Mhm.
that you didn't enjoy,
Mhm.
then it would be really tricky. I think one of the biggest problems for anyone working in social, like we've just talked about, can actually be setting those healthy boundaries with
Yeah.
social from a
Mhm.
personal level. Like,
Mhm.
I've had to do what you've done before, where I've said, you know what, I need a week off of TikTok because I've got so much work that I need to focus
Yeah.
on.
Yeah.
It's a distraction. If I need it, I can go on desktop and look at anything,
Exactly,
but I
yeah.
need to delete the app from my phone. And so actually that can be one of the biggest challenges, because we all work in social because we like social,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and it can become a little
Yeah.
bit much sometimes.
I think
Yeah.
that's the thing when you're doing it 9 to 5 and then you're going home and you're scrolling again, and it's very all encompassing.
Yeah.
Put the phone down.
Yeah. Go outside.
But I'd say, yeah, also for entry roles with that, LinkedIn is really helpful. I think sometimes it's really difficult to prove how proactively you are interested
Yeah.
into
Mhm.
something. LinkedIn's really public. And I know when you first start, it's really, I remember LinkedIn, I'd be like, oh, I don't want to connect with you. What if you think, who was that? Like,
Yeah.
but like if you're visibly, publicly
Mm.
commenting, for example, on like an agency's,
Mhm.
if they're hosting a webinar,
Mhm.
you're the fact that you're connected with the people that are hiring the role and you're commenting, there's a chance that they're going to see you being proactively
Yeah.
interested. Because sometimes I think that's something it's not measurable, it's hard to prove. You can't, it's difficult sometimes to come to an interview and be like, these are all the things I'm interested in.
Yeah.
But if you did your research, you connected with the people before the interview, and you're on LinkedIn firing off comments, questions, you're engaging with other
Mhm.
people you want to work with, there's the chance, for example, you could see, I know there's Scott, we've got an interview next week. He's actively engaging with other people within this industry,
Mhm.
which shows proactiveness.
And I agree. And like, a lot of people that we've hired have actually been people that have messaged me or Jack directly on LinkedIn, and they're like,
Mhm.
hey, I've submitted my CV. Like, I really want to speak to you. Like, that's a really common thing to happen.
Mhm.
And it kind of breaks that wall again, because like I get a lot of those messages,
Yeah.
and then I'll like spend a day and I'll be like, oh, I need to go back to everyone, because I would never want someone to feel like I've ignored them
Yeah.
in that essence.
No, that's fair.
And I don't think that's fair. So I should have gone back to everyone, but if I haven't, message me again. But I think like that's a really good thing to do, and
Yeah.
it just shows that additional level of like savviness as
Mhm.
well,
Mhm.
like that you can go on a job, you can look at who the hiring manager is, that you're confident enough to connect with that person and say, I want this.
Mhm.
That's a really good statement to make.
Yeah.
Go for a stalk.
Yeah,
Everybody
absolutely.
loves a little stalk on
Yeah,
LinkedIn.
there's no shame in stalking.
No, nothing wrong with it.
Top tip for if you're new though, turn your reads off so nobody knows you're doing it. Set your profile to private. If you're doing stalking, you don't want the notification of someone's looked at your
I love
page. Like,
to-
I like to know who's viewed my
Yeah.
profile, so I leave mine on. I don't care if I'm stalking you. Then
yeah, but you're
should-
CEO. This isn't. I'm talking entry level. I don't want to be like, oh yeah, I looked at everyone and they all know.
Oh, I don't think that's an issue.
We definitely don't talk about it.
Cool. Well, look, thank you so much for joining us today, guys. If you've got anything else that you'd like to add,
TikTok, please don't ruin that dashboard. I really like it. Please don't ruin it.
thank you, TikTok.
Love you.
Cool. All right. Well, look, thank you to everyone listening. Please like, subscribe, continue following us. We publish these every Monday morning for you. So yeah, and we'll see you next week. Thanks.